All right. Here we go. Off to see the wizard. Work, I say. All right, so today's topic is the simulation. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, so I've been giving it a lot of thought. The why, the what, the how, listening to podcasts, endlessly discovering new facts and information. And I've been really thinking lately that I believe we are living in a simulation. And by that, I mean I don't mean necessarily a simulation like a computer video game simulation. What I mean is we've all been lulled into this artificial world, and it's becoming stronger every day. So many of our friends, if not all for some people, are online. So you're not getting the real world awkward pauses. You're not getting the real world friendships, the visceral, the connection, the energy that you get from people. You're getting them online. And I think a lot of people date online as well, and that's not real. I think people are getting all their entertainment online, so real life outside of the simulation seems boring now, for so many people. Like having a minute between things where you don't grab your phone and scroll or check messages is boring. And so we're content to live in the simulation. Like if you've seen the movie The Matrix, that's essentially what we're doing. We're eating artificial food with artificial flavors. And we crave it, like real life seems so dull now, and we want to live through other people's lives, getting up at 4:30 in the morning and exercising. Well, that sounds painful. You're tired. You don't feel like it, right? So it's so much easier just to stay in the simulation and get on your phone or whatever it is that you do, right? Because nobody wants that awkward, the pain, the sad, the lonely, the cold, the heat. People don't want to feel those things. They want to feel comfortable. And so, we get caffeine to make us feel awake. People take drugs and gummies and things to help them sleep. And when life feels real, like when we're experiencing real life, it sucks, right? Nobody wants to experience real life. And of course, obviously, there's some people that are like, oh no, I do this and that, and good, I'm glad. But I think a lot of people are content to experience life through their phone, through other people, and not really experience just existing on the planet. What the wind feels like, and the temperatures, and the people, experiencing people for what they are. I hear a lot of young people apparently don't like to talk on the phone. I don't like to talk on the phone. I'm terrible at talking on the phone. And I've always been that way, but I've always been bad at being social as well. But I've worked hard on, changing that to some extent. But with the simulation, it gets so much easier to not engage with people. It gets so much easier to text somebody and not have to call, especially a stranger or a company, or it's so much harder to understand what they're trying to say, process how they feel about what they're saying, their tone, You know, real life can be complicated. Real life can be scary. And so living in the simulation, and by simulation, you know, I think I've said it, but by simulation, I just mean a world that isn't real. It's artificial. You know, all of the feelings and events and experiences aren't real. Like watching people do amazing things on YouTube or on TV, or your favorite athlete, you know, watching a game, watching them exercise. That's a simulation. You aren't actually doing any of those things. You're not. You might be experiencing all the feelings inside, the excitement inside, and some of that is definitely real, but a lot of it is temporary and artificial. So, you know, when you're doing something, you're watching entertainment or being entertained in some way, shape, or form, it might feel really exciting, but it's not a lasting memory. It's different than if you did it in real life. So if you climbed a mountain, that would stay with you for your whole life. All the experiences that you have would stay with you your whole life. If you watch a video of somebody climbing a mountain, you might feel a temporary excitement or fear, or you might feel something watching them, but it's not going to stick with you. It's temporary. And that's the crux of the simulation, you know, because part of it seems so easy because you don't physically have to experience anything uncomfortable or scary or anything like that. You get to avoid all the pain, but you get a little dopamine hit, right? You get a little bit of, whoa, that was fun. But the problem is it keeps dulling us over and over, and it dulls our senses, and it dulls, you know, how real life actually feels. So when you're used to eating sugar, you know, like if you drink a lot of soda, for instance, suddenly water tastes so bad. Like it's so flavorless, and it doesn't give you a sugar rush or a caffeine rush, or, you know, you don't get the excitement. You don't get the dopamine hit from the water, right? So people stop wanting water, and it's the same thing with food. When you get all of these engineered foods, and they are engineered to make them taste better, make you crave them. They sell it with marketing and advertisement. You know, they make it so appealing to have these artificial foods that honest, real food just, it doesn't seem exciting. It loses all the luster. And so we're content to live in the simulation, and the more time that goes by, the more content we feel living in the simulation. So that's kind of where I've arrived at, and I know that's a lot of things to process if that's something you're interested in, but sadly, a lot of people aren't interested in it because they don't want to believe that. They want to believe that they're in charge, and, you know, they make their choices, and you do to some extent, but the reality is a lot of choices have been made for you already, because there's very, very smart people out there that are engineering the world around you to keep you engaged, okay? They're trying to keep you engaged so that the companies can make money. Because if you live in the US, for sure, it's very capitalistic here. So people want to make money. The companies want to make money. It's not an evil entity. It's just a company trying to make money. And it's your job to decide what's important to you. So for me, educating myself and being aware, you know, that we are in a simulation a lot of the times, that doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well at all. And I start thinking, that's not where I want to live, and that's not who I want to be. I don't want to be controlled. I don't want to be manipulated. So And I don't talk about them or they. I'm talking about this is real. And, you know, when you choose to watch a movie, you're escaping into that world of the movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you have some balance, if you actually live a little bit of actual life. But if that's all you do is escape from one thing to the next, you're hurting yourself. So it's something to really consider. It's something that I'm considering for sure. All right, I gotta pause. I gotta get my drink, my coffee, my simulated coffee. So, long story short, I'm coming up with some new goals. And I think a lot of people are gonna start craving real life because a lot of people are gonna start seeing more and more that they are living in the simulation, and everything that they do during the day is fake. You know, the emojis, laughing out loud, LOL. Are you really laughing out loud? Because a lot of times, let's face it, we're not. There's no laugh at all. You're just like, yeah, ha, ha, ha. I'm laughing out loud. Because that's where we live now. Fake emotions, fake interest. The only thing we actually get interested in are things that make us angry or frustrated, right? And sometimes we get a little teary-eyed because we see something sweet about a puppy, right? And all of those things are designed to get you clicking, staying, living in this simulation. And so if you want to disconnect from the simulation, sometimes you got to put down your phone. Sometimes you got to do some exercise. Sometimes you got to be uncomfortable. You got to be willing to do what it takes to step outside of the simulation and do something else for a minute, man. Read a physical book. You know, go on a walk. Draw some pictures with a pencil, like an actual pencil on paper. Okay, I gotta grab my coffee. I still live in the simulation, guys. It's real. But I think, you know, one way that I'm gonna fight the simulation is by trying to experience as many things as I can in the real world, not just online, not just some article, not just some clickbait, but the real. Hey, thank you so much. Have a great day. All right. And we're off once again, my friends. And I know, I understand, you know, places like YouTube, it's an easy rabbit hole, right? You can click and watch and click and watch, and hours of your life can disappear quickly. And here I am making a video, but also I'm a big proponent of using the tools that you have, okay? So I enjoy recording what I'm doing and sharing what I'm doing, and, you know, possibly having a dialogue with somebody over it, or inspiration to go have another real world experience. I find that, first of all, I find it fascinating. I think social connections are crazy. They're interesting. People are interesting. The way people handle life is interesting. The things people choose to be outraged about is interesting, or excited about is interesting. So I like to explore that. And for me, documenting things sometimes inspires me to do something, because here's the reality. I am completely in the matrix or the simulation as much as everybody else, okay? And hence the conversation, hence why I'm looking into these things and trying to find a way out, because I'm just as tied in and guilty as everyone else. So how do you get out? Well, the first thing you do is you start talking about it. you start realizing it. Because, for instance, when I used to drink, right? If you're drinking and you say, it doesn't affect me, I don't have a problem, well, that's awesome, and you might not. But when it starts to become a problem, and you're still saying, I don't have a problem, it's really hard to stop drinking. I mean, it just becomes extremely hard to stop drinking. Because the first thing you have to do is realize where you are and what you need. If you're out of shape and you convince yourself that you don't need to exercise, then you're gonna continue to be out of shape. That's just the way it works. But as soon as you decide, I'm not happy with this, I want to change something, well, that's when the process begins. And so, for me, really waking up and understanding what it is that I want is important. For instance, the simulation, realizing, looking around and seeing how artificial the world around you has become. Like, you see the memes, you hear the jokes, you hear, when I was growing up, we didn't have phones, we didn't have computer. We rode our bikes. And we played at the park, and you just used your imagination. I didn't even have a stereo, all right? I just had me and my brain. And sometimes I had some paper, and I would draw a lot and get lost in my brain and create. I would create. And I feel like those days have gone, okay? Now, people would rather not go out, ride their bike, go physically do something. It's so much easier to get on your your PS5 or 4 or Switch or Nintendo or whatever, or your phone or your laptop or your tablet. There's so many ways to not have to do anything. People want to work remotely because, God forbid, you actually go get in your car, you drive through some traffic, you go sit wherever you work or however it is that you do your job. If you work remotely, you can just do it in your bedroom, right? You don't have to leave anymore. You don't have to have social connections. You don't have to have the awkward conversations with Janet at work or where's your TPS report. You don't have to do any of those things. You can just do it online and fake it. Apparently, studies even show that Zoom calls do not elicit the same chemicals in the body as in-person meetings or conversations. For whatever reason, a Zoom call there's no energy being transferred. So you can literally step outside of yourself and detach, because it's a person on a screen, it's a video, it's not real. And so, we've become so accustomed to skipping the real part and just going straight for the simulation. And I think it's just going to keep getting stronger and stronger. I don't like to use the term worse, but I think it's going to get worse. I just think, people are really becoming paranoid and afraid. And it shows people are becoming more sick. There's more cancers. There's more hospital stays. I mean, people are getting sick from it because I don't think the human body and mind was designed for this online internal living. We were designed to be social. We were designed to go out and actually hunt and fish and farm and build and create. And I understand in our day and age, you don't have to do any of those things anymore. There's somebody else that will, you can hire somebody to do whatever. You can hire somebody to mow your lawn. You can hire somebody to go get your groceries. You can hire somebody to, anything it is that you want, you can hire somebody to go do it. And so you don't have to experience it anymore. You don't have to hunt, clearly, because you can just go to the store and you can buy whatever's on the counter there or in the meat aisle or the whatever it is that you crave. You can just go to the store and get it. But guess what? That means you are also completely reliant on whoever is providing that meal for you. If you go to a fast food restaurant, oh sure, it's cheap. And we've all convinced ourselves that we need to have the cheap because we can't afford anything else. All we can afford is insert whatever, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A. That's all I can afford. I have to go there. Well, if you actually did some math, you'd realize that's ridiculous. That's absolutely asinine. It's not cheaper by any means. And you're certainly giving up all of your personal choice by doing that, because whoever just created that is engineering it for you so that you'll want more, you'll stay longer, you'll need it. And so real world all of a sudden just sounds boring, tastes terrible, not exciting. It's crazy. I mean, it's truly crazy. And it's only going to keep going from here. The more, we're entering this extreme digital AI age. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm right there with you. And I'm a fan of all the technology. I love technology so much. But if you think about it, that's exactly what's supposed to happen. Of course you're supposed to like it. Even the people who don't like it, you're supposed to get them into it. Because if you get them into it, they'll stay longer. They'll buy your product. They'll upgrade. They'll keep coming back, right? You'll get the subscription. It's a trap, man. It's a trap. And now, okay, and I was thinking about this too. If you believe in God, all right, if you're religious and you believe in God and the devil, all right, or good and evil, all right, so think about this concept for a second. If God is all of the good things and the wonderful things in life and love and all of these positive traits, right? That's amazing. But then let's say there's the devil. Let's say the devil is an angel of light. Now, what is the angel of light supposedly supposed to do? It's supposed to trick you into wanting to do the bad thing, right? Because it seems like the good thing. So the devil would want to convince you that all of these bad things, the simulation, is what you want and what you need in your life. That's what the devil would want to convince you of. And so if you believe in good and evil, or the power of darkness, or whatever, then think about that for a second. The devil wants you to believe that the right thing to do is the simulation, because that's where all the good stuff lives, because you're a good influence, because you're a good person, because, you get all your good stuff. Oh, sure, you get a little bad stuff, but it's mostly good, right? In reality, though, it's mostly bad. And if you really look at it, I don't care who you think you are, you're looking at mostly bad. Whether you think it's good or not, it's taking your time, it's taking your attention, it's taking your money, it's taking the chemicals in your brain, it's giving you addiction, it's making you sad, it's making you compare. Yes, the devil might come as an angel of light and convince you that it's good, but really rethink that for a second. Because if you think about the matrix or the simulation, they want to keep you there. Okay? They want to keep you there. Now, does this all sound crazy? Yes. Yes, it does. And I like to think crazy things. But that's where we're at right now, whether you like it or not. What I would encourage is people to really think about what I'm saying. You don't have to agree with it, but just put it in your brain and think about it. Use it a little bit. Wash it around in there. See what you think. See how it resonates with you. In fact, if anybody listens to this, which I really doubt they would, let me know. Tell me your thoughts. I'd love to have dialogues. I'd love to have conversations. Leave me a comment. Let me know. I'm fascinated by how other people think. So, anyway, I'm going to sign off, chill out, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Maybe step out of the simulation for just a minute at some point, Experience a little bit of real world. All right, we'll catch you later. Peace.